Hey, welcome. This is Matt with Let's Talk Music. I'm here with Matt Zane from Society One. How are we this evening?
I'm good. Good. Thank you for the interview. Nice to meet you.
You too. So tell me about Society One. I seen that you guys have been around since the 90s.
Yeah, believe it or not. And most people don't believe it until they actually start looking into the history of the band. And it's kind of almost surreal, I guess, in a sense, because with the advent of social media, I've been really getting into a lot of the newer upcoming ones like TikTok in order to be able to bring the band to a new audience. And whenever we get a slightly even viral clip, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people, you constantly see these comments from people going, what alternate universe did this happen in? Who is this band? Why are they playing in front of 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people?
Right.
So yeah, it's been a long time. And it's difficult for me to believe that we're actually still doing this after since 96, first album came out in 99. I've been touring since 99 and now, 2022. So all of you can do the math out there.
Right. So what's I was checking out some of your newer songs. Was the one As I Die?
Yeah, As I Died, the video just came out today, actually, believe it or
Right,
not.
right.
Like, such a crazy day. Like, the new video just dropped. And so obviously getting that posted everywhere and seeing all the news articles about that. And then, today's also an interview day. So of course, everything always happens like that. There's just so much to do all in one day. But yeah, that is the latest, the newest single that just came out today. That's on YouTube and everywhere else.
Right. That's what I was checking out. Because when Tracy sent me the press release, it was a different song. What was it?
I Never Saw You.
Yes, I Never Saw You. And
Yeah,
then I saw like you guys were doing, well as far as your views and whatnot. And then it goes over and I was like, well, this one came out 19 hours ago or 13 hours ago or something like that. And I was like, okay, so you guys kind of always stick with the same sound, or have you like made it, versatile at all? Or
yeah. I mean, a lot of the things like yourself, people that aren't really familiar with our music, when they hear, let's say, the latest record, Black Level 6, and they kind of hear it and they go, oh, wow, cool. All right, well, what was the record like that before? And so they go to the one before that, like Rise from the Dead. And it's similar, a little bit different, but they're like, all right, cool. What was that, the one before that like? And they go to Collection of Lies, and it's like, oh, all right, it's a little more different, but this is still kind of cool. But then, like, if they skip from, like, let's say, Black Level 6 all the way back to 1999, Slagger Jesus, it almost doesn't sound like the same band. And we've obviously developed through various sounds and genres throughout the years, because the band has been around for so long. We just were never one of those bands that really had like a really major, huge, big hit record, which allowed us to be able to kind of go through multiple genres without really getting too much slack for it. So yeah, and if you go to our original album, I mean, it's nu metal pretty much with some
yeah,
elements of goth and some other elements that set us apart from other people back in those days. Like, you'll definitely find songs in that initial album that you'd never hear a band like Korn or Deftones doing. But it was, for the most part, it was very nu metalish. And then, it's developed throughout the years. We went through goth phases and more industrial phases, and I don't know what you call us now, rock, hard rock, with some odd time stuff thrown in there. So yeah, it's just constantly just going like all over the place.
right. So when we started, you said you have your studio behind you. So is that where you guys do all your recordings, or is there a place that you camp, or your home base for recording?
This was actually built during the pandemic, and the Black Level 6 was done prior to that. And so we just did it in a studio with Patrick Burkholder as the engineer, and I produced the album. It was mixed by Greg Hetson of the Circle Jerks and Bad Religion. And then it was mastered by Mike Wells, who did Jello Biafra and Green Day and Prince. So that was actually done in a studio. It was a studio called The Pawn Shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then, prior to that, we'd been in, all different studios, all different levels. The biggest, the most famous was when we did our big two records, Exit Through Fear and The Sound That Ends Creation. We did that at a studio called Energy Studios. And that studio, if you Google it, that has done everybody from the Rolling Stones to Korn to Linkin Park.
Oh,
to
nice.
No Doubt. I mean, everybody. So yeah, that's where we did our two biggest records was Over Energy, and that's where all the oohs and the ahs and the name dropping can come into. But other than that, we've been around at different studios. As far as this one's concerned, we're probably going to do a lot of the vocals here. Not the drums, obviously, because it's not set up for a drums room for the next couple albums, and maybe some guitars, maybe some bass, but and then send it off to a place to get mixed. But yeah, so we'll utilize it more for music for sure in the next upcoming records. But like I said, it's less than a year old. It was built during the pandemic.
So speaking of the pandemic, other than building your studio, how else did that slow you guys down? I mean, did you have some good momentum going? Because a lot of people that I've talked to, they were like, yeah, man, we were sitting on all these songs and getting ready to, make an EP or whatever and release this, release that. And then the pandemic happened. And now we're trying to, get things going again. I mean, did it slow you guys down at all?
Yeah, it did. It destroyed us. It absolutely killed us. And it's funny that you mentioned that when you talk to other bands about that. That was the general consensus for a lot of bands in our general level, as well as a little bit above us as well. Just to give you an idea, like, again, I know you're not very familiar with the band, but in 2019, at the end of the year, we were touring with Static X on the Wayne Static Memorial Tour. We finished out that tour. We took off for the holidays, then we jumped right back on doing a direct support show for them, and had other headlining shows all booked up literally up until the day of the lockdowns on March 13th. We are already done with Black Level 6. That was planned to be released, and our management was already talking to other tours to get things going. So we had a tremendous amount of momentum. We had the new album. We had just gotten off the road with the Wayne Static Memorial Tour, which was sold out every single night, just about 500,000, 1,500 people a night.
Right.
And then all of a sudden and then we were doing direct support for Static and having headlining shows, and then it was just done like that. It was just like over. And when that happened, I didn't think that the pandemic was going to last as long as it did. So I released a couple music videos that we were sitting on, but then when I saw that it was going to be a little bit longer, I kind of backed off on doing anything else, because obviously I was running out of money. I mean, I make my living not with a normal job. I wasn't getting these massive checks from the government like the majority of people, wish I was, but I wasn't. So I had to kind of sit back. And then what ended up happening after I stopped is that, over a year passed, of just sitting around and I'm a bit older. Like, I don't know if you know how old I am, but like, I really wasn't aware. Like, I was thinking about it more from an old school mentality, like, oh, a band goes away for a year and a half, they can come back. It's not that big of a deal. But I was totally unaware of the fact that the world moves as fast as it does now in terms of social media and how people forget so quickly. So yeah, I mean, I'm making a longer explanation than I need to, but yeah, like, we had lost like not only all our momentum, but like our social media presence was just gone. Like, it was just it was just crazy what happened. And it was a big mistake on my part. It really was. In hindsight, if I knew the pandemic was going to be as long as it was, I would have continued to put out material and stuff. But I kept thinking, oh, it's got to be done the next month. It's got to be done the next month. And so and then before you know it, it was a year and we hadn't released a music video. We hadn't released a single. We hadn't played a show, and it was just kind of like, it was just for a band of our size. It was like all of a sudden we didn't exist anymore. It was crazy. So it really did hurt us, and we're working really, really hard to try to get some of that back and get back on top of things. And man, it hasn't been easy. It's been really, really tough. When you're not Static X, Papa Roach, Slipknot, like it's right. It's not an easy task. It was a very, very big error on my part to take off as much time as we did.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody's foreseen how long it was going to be, or that it was going to get as bad as it was. And, I know that social media was helping some people. I mean, I remember Adelita's Way did a few, live stream concert type things, and a lot of people were starting to do that. And then things started to loosen up, maybe not so much in California, but, like Ohio, we kind of just released, was it about the mask mandate's been gone for a minute. And then, they just made it to where you can go to a concert without showing a vaccination card or whatever. They're not saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. So all the restrictions have been lifted, but I mean, it killed a lot of people. I mean, everybody that I talked to, and guys that I know that I'm friends with that play in bands. That's just, it hurt some people, but other people, it, kind of helped out. I mean, I got a buddy that plays in a band called Illusions, and, that gave them time to write material, gave them time to actually find the singer that they were looking for, so it kind of, I don't know, it had its ups and downs for everybody.
Yeah, if I knew it was going to be so long, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I would have approached it completely differently. But I just didn't make the right choice. It was a gamble and it didn't pay off. It's really hilarious. On the day that we played the last show prior to the lockdown on March 13th of 2020, again, direct support for Static X, sold out show, records in the can, ready to come out. We were doing an interview for a Mexican television station that day. We just had a new single drop called Save Us, lyric video. And they're like, oh, so what are you going to do now about this pandemic? I'm like, this will be done in a couple of months. And you can just see I'm all smiles and so happy. And the band is because we just got off the road. We're playing for thousands of people, and if I just would have known, I would have approached it so differently. I just would have I would have locked myself. I would have built the studio immediately and then just start putting out single every single month and a music video every single month. That way, so when, the ball started getting rolling again, the phone would have started ringing again like it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, because, it wasn't. And then I was talking to a guy named Ty Dennis, and I'm sure you're probably not familiar with him, but he was the guy that replaced the original member of the Doors when the Doors got together with Robbie Krieger and Ray Manzarek, and they went out and toured for 9 years. Ty Dennis was the drummer in that band, and I remember talking to him in the middle of the pandemic, and he's like, let's just throw a song together and do something like just and release it, like one of those home studio things that all the bands were doing. And I was like, wow, man, this is like Ty Dennis, and he's asking me to do something. He's like, man, he goes, nobody knows I exist anymore, because and that's when it clicked in my head. It was like, wow, like I don't exist anymore. And then when things did come back, my phone wasn't ringing, because we were just gone. Like the big bands were ringing, but nobody was thinking about us because, we're not the big money makers. And so we just vanished, man. And it was like, all right, I guess we better start, getting this thing going again and seeing if we can get this going. Hence all these interviews and albums and videos and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, bands that I work with like 6 publicists now. I started with 1, and they're pounding me. Just I'm booked clear into the 3rd week of May, and it's great. But it's like a lot of these people that I've talked to have said that the way that they're kind of bouncing back is they're releasing new material like monthly or every couple of weeks or whatever, new videos, new material. And, a lot of these guys are you under a label?
No, not for this album.
Okay. So yeah, a lot of these guys are independent, and, that's where they're talking about like, the cost of it and this and that. But I mean, it's kind of the old saying, it takes money to make money, and you got to get yourself out there.
Yeah. I'm really thinking about what you said about what your friends are doing in terms of reapproaching this. Like we just released an album, obviously, a couple of weeks ago, but after it kind of runs its course, I may go back to the model of just doing a song every month or every 6 weeks, just to get things kind of moving again and get them kind of like recharge things, because something has to happen in order to like continue to people to talk and get everything going again, because like you said and like I said, it's been unreal, like how like in this day and age it just went like we were doing all of this and then it was just done, like it's been crazy.
So I mean, you was talking about the phone not ringing. I mean, you having any luck at the moment as far as maybe just going out and playing some shows and trying to
Yeah, we have a tour booked already for next year with Fear Factory and Static X and Dope.
Okay.
We're opening that tour. That's not till February. But the problem with that is that we actually had a tour booked this February, but it got shut down because of Omicron. So after that happened, again, talking realistically about bands and what it costs for a band to get ready for a tour of that size, we had all these deposits in on the RV and the driver and the trailer, and we had plane tickets bought, and we made videos and photo shoots, and the bass player was flying out here for rehearsals and so on and so forth. And when that got cut, and all of a sudden now we don't have a way to sell all that merchandise that we put thousands of dollars into, and we got to pay deposits on RVs and whatever, it was pretty devastating, specifically coming out of the pandemic.
Right.
So rather than getting all wound up to do that again for anything possibly happening this year. We just said, you know what? Okay, tour next year, booked 3-4 weeks with huge, big bands, Fear Factory, Static X, Dope. That's it. That's the goal. Let's just release the record, release videos. Let's do some press. Let's get our social medias together. Let's wind things back up to go out for next year, because we're praying that there's nothing crazy by then, that it'll all be done. Because if we did that again for October and it happened, and I hope that it doesn't for no bands that are like getting ready, like it seems like it's done now, like the big stadium tours are going out this summer, but you never know. We just didn't want to chance it. So we were just like, you know what, it's only 10 months. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
Just do whatever we can on this. Let's get that machine rolling, because the machine takes a lot of money, even a band in terms of our size,
Right.
And honestly, I'm kind of glad that it happened in the sense only because I'm praying that gas prices are somewhat better by then also.
Yeah.
Because if we would have we had an RV rented, a big one for that tour, man, and gas prices, the way they are now, just based off of where they are now for the RV, for the amount of time that we had a tour, man, they were going to be like astronomical.
Oh yeah.
So like I'm not too upset that it didn't work out that way. And we won't be doing any one-offs or anything like that, because we have to fly people in, specifically like Jimmy Minge, our bass player that lives in New York. So it just doesn't make any sense. And we're not really one of those bands. And again, I get a lot of flack when I say this, but like a lot of bands are just like, oh, if we can just go on tour, that's what bands are supposed to do. And they go on these tours and they play in front of 25, 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, from a passion standpoint or from getting a tighter standpoint, more power to you. I think that's amazing. Go do it. But it doesn't make any sense from a career standpoint or from a monetary standpoint. You're not going to break yourself playing in front of 25 to 30 people a night. It's going to basically cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to go do that for absolutely no reason, when you could literally post a 30-second clip on TikTok and get 1,000 views in that same day instead of playing in front of 25 people. You know what I mean? And so we're just not one of those bands that do that. Well, we do that occasionally, like if the bass player's in town, or we have like a quick one-off to do or whatever, a promoter calls us, whatever. Yeah, we'll do it, but we won't be going to do all that. That doesn't do any band any good, man. No bands ever make it like that. It actually hurts you, whether you believe it or not, because then people see you playing in front of these empty rooms, mm-hmm. and wants to go see an empty room, and nobody thinks that you're a real band when you're playing in an empty room. So like that's just not something that we're interested in doing. So we just said, okay, whatever. Rest of the year, it's already May. You know what I mean? Like it's only amount of months. This tour's already been announced. You can go online and see our names right on the posters.
Right.
So like it's done. So anybody that oh, what do you do? Oh, here's the poster, here's the ad mat, here's the press release, and that's what we're doing. We think it's a smarter move, and obviously we won't be playing to empty rooms with bands like that. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't blame you. So just one more thing. She sent me something else today about a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So the movie it came out late last year. It was about my former bass player. He passed away almost a year ago this month. And I just made a movie about him. And it was a really odd occurrence. I'm a filmmaker. For those that don't know, I've done hundreds of music videos for people and worked with people like Zach Wild and Static X and Wayne Static and DMC of Run DMC and Orgy and John Five and Rob Zombie, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So, wow. So I've done photography for the Doors anniversary and for a bunch of other people, Static X, all that. So I'm working on a couple other documentaries for other people, but when prior to Dirt passing away, my former bass player, we were actually on the road. We were opening up for a band, Doyle from the Misfits.
Yeah.
And after we went and got dinner, and we didn't know at this time that it was going to be our last show ever. And it was a very common occurrence after sound check to go have dinner. Mm-hmm. So we left the rest of the band there, and him and I went off. We were in San Diego, actually. And we were just joking around. And he said, oh, I'm going to die before you because you're much healthier than I am. And when I do, you're in charge of making the movie about me because you'll have the most footage in all the archives. Mm-hmm. And, we joked about it and said it. And then unfortunately he did end up passing away before me. And I remember that conversation that we had, and I was like, damn, I got to do this or he's going to come back and haunt me, So I did actually made a movie. It's called The Alternoid. It's a full documentary about him and his life. It's a rockumentary, and it made it to a pretty big film festival, the American Horror Film Festival, which it showed at. And it's been getting some really good views, and it's got some great people in it. Dave Navarro did a little clip in it. It's got Raymond Herrera, a little clip in it. We talk about, and has pictures with his involvement with Wayne Static and playing with him and tattooing him. It's got a couple other people of notable names in it. Obviously, Sin Kieran from Ministry. They were in a band together called Three Headed Snake. Yeah, it's a really great movie that even if you're very unaware of the guy or what he's done or who he is, which he obviously wasn't very well known, you'll still really enjoy the movie. There's a subplot in the movie about his love for Kiss and his interactions that he had with the band throughout his years from he was 5 until when he passed. So people that really love Kiss will really identify with. That was one of the main parts that Dave Navarro really identified with in the movie. And it's just a great rock and roll ride. It's an hour and 15 minutes of just like pure debauchery and fun. And it's not a real morose movie. It's not meant to be make you sad or anything. It's more of a celebration of his life. And it's also just a very interesting story. So again, like obviously you haven't seen it. If you get an hour and 15 minutes, even if you don't, just put it on for 10-minute increments. I guarantee you by the end of the movie, you'll be like, I'm glad I watched that. Like that was a fun ride. Like I had no idea. Like that was really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
And, the funny thing is like just to wet your whistle in terms of like telling you how big the movie really is. He was also a tattoo artist. He tattooed people like Kelly Clarkson from American Idol. He tattooed Britney Spears, and he tattooed like Steve-O. Yeah, so it gets very intense. And then again, there's that subplot with Kiss, which I don't want to give away what happens in the movie, but you could guess like there was some intertwinings there that happened ultimately through the movie. And then there was parts of the movie where, again, Dave Navarro saw us perform and Dave Navarro talking about Dirt, so it's a lot more interesting than people would think. They watch it and they kind of sit back and go, oh my God, like what else is going to happen? And then the next thing happens, and the next thing happens. So it's kind of a cool story, and it has a really nice arc to it. So I really implore everybody out there. It's for free. You can go watch it on YouTube. It's called The Altered Noise.
Okay. Well, my condolences on your loss. And it sounds like a cool thing because I love, anything that has to do with documentaries, anything based on a true story. Love rockumentaries, get a lot of information from them too. I mean, and that's kind of how I like to do with, my music knowledge is, I'll sit there behind the music was just great for me. I mean, I sat there and soaked that stuff in. And I mean, I know a lot of it was about the bad stuff and this and that, but it's more entertaining to me than going to a movie theater seeing a new movie,
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, man, like you will put this on, and in the first 5 minutes, the opening of the movie is Dirk talking about how we're walking out on stage to go play in front of 80,000 people at Download while I was being pierced with hooks through my back to hang in front of all these people. And then showing us walking out onto that stage, playing in front of those people. So that's how the first 5 minutes of the movie opens. So if I don't have your attention or the people that are watching this attention, then nothing's going to keep your attention. So trust me, just put on the first 5 minutes. If you're not already sold, you'll be like, wow, I had no idea. Like this dude wasn't kidding, like you'll be hooked. You'll be like, okay, well, what's going to happen after this?
All right, man. Well, I'll give it a shot. Well, since you guys are not under a label right now, do you mind if when I edit the interview, would I put As I Die at the end of it for people to see?
Yeah, dude, I own all those songs. Anything you want. I own everything, every piece of music except for Exit Through Fear and The Sound That Ends Creation. But every other record that you can find, I own all of it. You can use whatever you want. And if you Google us or look for our channel on YouTube, there's like literally 40 music videos that you can pick from.
Yeah. I seen that today. No, it's just I've actually done interviews with a band, and then I put not even their video in it. A couple bands I just did when I was doing my, I guess, your video introduction. I would play part of their song, and I got copyright claim for it.
No, I own it. Go for it.
I'm like, I'm doing an interview with the band. That's their music. So, I've been checking lately so that, and also just to make sure it's okay with the artist. I don't want to do something that you don't want me to do. So.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's total. We prefer it. We're just trying to get the record and get the music out there.
Well, I'm all for helping you, man, and I'll check out the movie. And you have a good evening. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye.